OPPO have just released their new flagship, the X9 Pro, which I have here, with the new Hasselblad camera system. So it's a brand new design, brand new camera system, redesigned sensors, and in this video I'm going to go over what's changed, what's different to the X8 Pro, and should you upgrade. So sit back, relax as normal, and let's find out, is this a phone you should buy? So OPPO returned to the global market last year with their X8 Pro, which was a very good phone. So I tried this out as one of my first Android devices on the channel, and I loved it. I loved the 4-camera system. I loved the large circle on the back of it. It just had an excellent camera system with a Hasselblad camera system. That's exactly what I was looking for at the time, and it actually made me switch to Android at the time. So it had 4 lenses in it, which OPPO have actually taken a step back this time. We've now got 3 lenses. But before we get into the camera system, as normal, let's go over the design of this phone. So the design has changed radically from the X8 Pro. So the X8 Pro, as mentioned, had a large circle camera system on the back here with 4 lenses, and the sensors were slightly smaller. So OPPO have obviously taken a step back and thought, because they had some reviews that said the cameras were good, but they had low light performance, was a bit lacking. So they obviously took a step back and decided, let's redesign this phone and really go for the cameras on this phone, because the camera market has never been so congested in the Android world, with companies like Vivo bringing out the X3, X200 Ultra with the camera kit. So OPPO have decided to really go for it with the cameras. So we've got this new camera design here, which is on the right hand side of the phone. It's got 3 lenses on it and a color correction system with the Hasselblad camera logo here. So not only do we have the new camera system, but we also have a new button on it. So we also have the new camera button here, which is, well, they don't call it the camera button, they call it something else, but it's essentially a camera button, just like the iPhones, and it works in the same way. And then on the other side of the phone, we have basically an action button, which enables you to customize it to exactly how you want it, and gives you the option to do same things as an iPhone would do with it, and it's really useful to have in everyday situations. So the screen has been totally redesigned as well. So we've now got what OPPO call the slimmest bezels on the market, at 1.15mm thick. I don't know for how much I can confirm on that, whether that's actually true or not, but I have to say the screen looks amazing from initial use. It's very high resolution, high PPI, and it has the ultra slim bezels, give it a very premium feel for the kind of price range that you're looking at here for the phone. So it's called the snap key on the side. I did forget that earlier, similar to the action button, and it does really useful in everyday situations. And we also have 2 brand new colors this year. We've got white and gray, which I think I've got the white here. So very understated colors, very pro feel to it, as we always have the understated colors in the pro market for some reason. Apart from iPhone this year that gave us the orange, which looks good, I think, for the Pro phone. It's nice to have some brighter colors on it, which I think is good. We've also got a new fingerprint reader this year. So we've got a 3D ultrasonic fingerprint reader, which goes under the screen. So it's meant to work in the wet as well. I have tried this out and it does work. It's very responsive. It works very well. Also got face unlock as normal, which works as well as last year. And it does feel very premium. So overall, the new design, I think, has aluminium around the edge, which is actually, for the first time ever, is in a matte finish. Thank goodness we've not got the polish finish like on the Google Pixel 9 Pro, which does look very nice. It's very premium, feels very good, but it's just not practical for everyday situations. It will scratch. So it's just nice to have that aluminium matte finish. It won't show scratches as much. And we've got a nice matte glass back on the back as well. We've got Corning Gorilla Victus 2 all over the phone, so it's very well protected. As you'll see, I'm using this caseless at the moment. OPPO haven't released their cases yet, which is a bit worrying. But so far, I've taken this out and about, and I've had no problems using it without the case, which is nice for a flagship phone because it costs a lot of money. So I think now we need to look at performance, because performance is one area that the X9 Pro, with it being a flagship, is OPPO really need to push this. So they've gone for MediaTek 9500 CPU based on a 3nm process. So last year we had the 9400 MediaTek CPU, and everyone was slightly worried because we've not gone Snapdragon 8 Elite. What does that mean for the phone? Does it mean it's going to be as good? And I have to say the X8 Find X8 Pro handled everything very well. It ran games perfectly, because actually the GPU on the MediaTek CPUs is a little bit better in some gaming. So I had no problems running games on the X8 Pro. So I've tried the 9500 out a few times on gaming. I've tried it with the camera module. especially with that 4K 120 that it does now. And I have to say the performance is stellar. It's got no problems with it at all. It feels as fast, if not faster, than an Elite phone. And so far, heating's not been a problem either. So the phone has a new vapor chamber in it to keep it cool. It also, based on that 3nm process, that CPU, it will run cooler. And I do notice that on the phone when you're using it for intensive tasks. One thing I did notice was if I'm recording in high resolution pictures on the camera, I'm pressing that shutter button over and over again, I'm getting no lag whatsoever, and that's great. I hate having lag on phones, especially with the Pixel 9 10 Pro XL. That does lag quite badly with that Tensor G5. So it's nice to see that MediaTek CPU is really well powered and has no problems at all with it in the phone at all. So I think the key headline for this year with this new MediaTek CPU is more performance and less power consumption. So OPPO are really pushing this MediaTek CPU. They're saying that it's got 30% increase in power, 20% decrease in power consumption. So you can have faster performance with less power consumption. I have to say, so far I agree with them. It runs cool, it never gets hot, vaguely warm sometimes, recording 4K 120 for hours on end, and it just handles through it. It just cuts through it like easy, like a knife through butter, I'd like to say. It just really is. The match with ColorOS 16 as well. So ColorOS 16 is the new version of their operating system on this phone, which has just been released on the new OPPO X9. It's coming out to other OPPO devices over the next few months, which is a bit slower than this device, but obviously it takes a bit while, but it is worth waiting for. ColorOS 16 is really nice, got some excellent new nice features on it. I'll do a whole section on the ColorOS 16, I think it deserves a video on it, but so far, I'm really enjoying the operating system. I enjoy how it's very intuitive and it runs very fluidly. I have to say that the performance on the phone is just combined with a new MediaTek CPU. It runs very well. So what have we got inside this in terms of storage? We've got 16 gigabytes of RAM, which is becoming the norm these days on the flagship. So top of the range RAM. We've got 512 gigabytes of storage. It's available in one model, which is 512 gigabytes of storage, and it comes with the price starting point of £1,099, about that price. So it's an expensive phone. It's up there with the best phones on the market, I have to say, and so far, the performance-wise, I have no doubt to say that it will compete with 2026's Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5 phones that are coming out. I've not tried one yet, so I'm keen to get my hands on them when they do come out. So camera-wise, we've got 3 new sensors on this phone. So we've got a brand new 200 megapixel telephoto, which has got a larger sensor on it. We've got a new 50 megapixel standard lens, which is their wide lens at 23mm, and we've got a 50 megapixel ultra wide lens at about 18mm. So overall, we've got 3 new lenses. So OPPO have dropped that 4th lens. So one thing I did like about the X8 Pro is a lot of phones at the time used 3 lenses and didn't offer a 4th telephoto lens. So you had a 3x and a 6x zoom, covered by an optical zoom range, having those two sensors on those 2 lenses. So I was really worried about this when I saw it come out. I thought, will this phone be as good without the second telephoto lens? So what OPPO essentially have done is they've gone back to the drawing board and thought, what can we do with this to drop the lens and make it better? Because the 2 telephotos were okay on the X8 Pro, they just weren't excellent because the smaller sensor size to get it in the phone. So what they've done is they've gone to Hasselblad, they've partnered with them, they've said, what can we do with this phone? And they've got together and decided to put in a 200 megapixel sensor, which I believe is from Samsung. It's a larger sensor than the other X8 Pro, and now they've upped that and they've given us a 200 megapixels to play with, so we can zoom up to about 13 times optically, technically, although at the end of the range it just get a bit iffy, but yes, technically. So we're actually getting a higher zoom range with less lenses, which is quite cool, and how they've done it. And I have to say, this 200 megapixel sensor so far is proven to be excellent in everyday situations, up to the standard, up to about the 3x to 6x zoom on the phone. It looks pretty good. So I have to say that, so far the 200 megapixel lens, in my opinion, is living up to the hype. I'll get into this in a minute. But so we've got a 50 megapixel wide as well. So the 50 megapixel wide is a larger sensor than last time. It's got a large aperture on it, and it's about 23mm in terms of its width. So it's about the same as the iPhone's wide lens. Okay, if you kind of use that, you kind of get the idea about it. So it's not 35mm like some of the Vivos are coming out with, which is the true sort of like zoom that you're getting with a DSLR, but I have to say it's a really nice lens. It takes excellent pictures, and it just is. It has OPPO's colour technology on it, which works really well on the back of the phone, which works with all 3 lenses. And I have to say, so the wide is the ultra wide is also a 50 megapixel lens. Show you some examples in this video. It looks great. You get 4K 60 recording across all the lenses and 4K 120 across some of the lenses as well, which is nice to have in HDR Dolby Vision, which is good as well. So the start of the show really is that telephoto, and I have to say that's the one I've been most impressed with. And one thing I do like about it as well is OPPO have gone back to the drawing board with their HDR pipeline, and the HDR really doesn't overdo it in the pictures, so it's not like blaringly obviously in the image. It looks natural. The photos look like they've been taken with a DSLR. They look more natural, which you can tell is the Hasselblad branding on the camera, and I'm glad OPPO didn't ditch that partnership. So the only lens that is actually true Hasselblad branded and being co-developed with them is that telephoto. So the other lenses use the Hasselblad software, but they're not actually developed in partnership with Hasselblad, which is, I don't know why that is, but that's just the case. So more on this 200 megapixel telephoto, because the other two lenses are kind of really easy to wash over. You've got larger sensors, a larger aperture, and they let more light in, and they look good in everyday situations. That 200 megapixel telephoto has got more resolution to play with, and some people are saying, so one of the options on the phone new for this year is that you can record. You can take images in the 200 megapixel mode, which is really useful for one main reason. You can crop in on the image and take parts out. So say you're on holiday somewhere and you've taken a photo and someone's got in the way, you've taken it over a crowd like that, and someone's got in the way, and you're like, what can I do with this image? So with a 200 megapixel shot, crop in, take them out, and you've got that full center, you've got the full high resolution center of the image, and it will look the same as if you're taking a 12 megapixel, 20 megapixel shot on another phone. So that's one option you can do. Second option is you can crop out the images, and OPPO really push this in their branding and their press releases. You can crop out certain parts of the image and make collages with them. It looks pretty cool as well. So lots of things on there, lots of options you can do with that 200 megapixel mode. So you can set it to take in higher res all the time. So it's 50 megapixel on the wide, 50 on the ultra wide, and 200 on the telephoto. It does take up a lot of room in storage, so just bear in mind you will fill that 512 gigabytes quite quickly. Another thing that new telephoto enables is telephoto macro shots and telephoto portraits, which just looks stunning on that new 200 megapixel lens. With that larger sensor, like more light in, you can take some stunning shots that just look like they've been taken on a DSLR, and actually easier to take as well because you've got that OPPO image processing in the phone, and it just makes it easier than using my DSLR. I've used this a few times recently instead of my DSLR because I've just enjoyed the results. And it's called High Res Master, I think it is on the phone. It's called Hasselblad branding. I'll show you how to get into it on this video and how to get into the... So it's mentioned you've got 13.2 times lossless zoom, they call it. But at the other end of the zoom range, because you have got 200 megapixels to play with, so it will record quite nicely, up to probably about 10 times it looks okay. 13 times starts to really drop off, and go 120 times the digital zoom, it really isn't very good. So just bear that in mind, about 10 times zoom you're looking at, which is very good for a phone of this size. And the camera module, I have to say, does not stick out as much as other flagship phones, and it is quite a nice thin design on the phone as well. It feels less bulky than an iPhone 17 Pro Max, for example. Just a quick note on video performance, because obviously I use the video mode on it quite a lot, and they have really upped this year, so they're really going for content creators to buy this phone. So it does 4K, up to 4K 30, right up to 4K 120 in Dolby Vision. So you've got excellent recording in for sort of slow motion shots, sports events, anything like that, fast moving events. It looks great in that 4K 120. I use it a lot on the channel, as you probably know. It just looks really good. We've got the X-Pan mode, which gives you a wider image on the video as well, which is OPPO's signature mode, and that looks cool. Show you some shots taken with that on this channel. We've also got log video recording now, so really pushing the pro level features on this phone, going for Apple 17 Pro Max, going for the Samsung S25 Ultra, all have log now, which is kind of key on this flagship level performance. So now we've gone over the camera, let's kind of get onto the display. So on the display, we've got a 6.78 inch OLED display, which I've mentioned, which has 1.15 millimeter bezels. So it's very, very thin bezels on the screen, and it looks great, I have to say. So far from everyday use, it just is a great panel. So it's Full HD, FHD plus panel, so it's slightly above Full HD. You can go into the settings. First thing I do when I set up this phone is go into the settings on it and change it to Full HD, because it is low resolution by default to save battery. But I think I've paid the money for the display. I want to have the full HD display, and it looks great having that full HD plus display on the phone turned on. So 120 Hz LTPO panels, dynamic refresh rate 1 to 120 Hz, which is normal these days. One thing that's not normal though is a 450 ppi pixel density. So this is a key. I always look for ppi these days on panels. It's a lot of phones, like some of the Pixel phones are 367, which is a lot lower, and you start to notice the graininess on the panel sometimes. So this is 450 ppi, looks stunning, honestly. You can't pick out the pixel in this phone, it looks great. 3600 nits of peak brightness, and I have to say from using it outside, no problems using it any weather. The brightness is ideal and it works in any situations. We've got HDR10+ support and Dolby Vision, so it covers all the major formats when you're watching Netflix or YouTube or anything like that. And one thing I have to say on the display as well is this OPPO have thought about eye care again, which is a big thing on the Chinese brand phones, and it's not something that Apple or Pixel have adopted yet really. So it goes down to 1 nit for at night, which is really nice on your eyes. It's also got TUV certified, and it's got adjustable white point and eye care dimming as well. So it's got that features like the Honor phones have, and I think it makes such a difference using the phone at night. It just is easier to use when you sat in bed at night and you don't want to disturb someone next to you, or you just want to have a general, don't want to affect your eyes or affect your sleep, and it just is a much better screen than some of the other phones are coming out at the moment. So I have to say it's a better screen than the iPhone 17 Pro Max. I think it's a better OLED display. It's not as big, but it is better. So I think that 6.78 inch screen is kind of the sweet spot in my opinion on the phones, about where we can think about size versus portability versus usability. I think 6.78 inches is perfect. So let's just touch on durability. So as expected, as mentioned, Corning Gorilla Glass Victus 2 on front and back, IP66, 68, 69 water and dust resistance, and tested to all sorts of standards. So this phone is durable and will last for years. It's got about 5 years of updates, which is a bit less than other manufacturers, but I think it's fine. No one's going to keep the phone 7 years in my opinion, so that's fine. So it's overall, it's a great phone for durability. You're not going to have any problems with it. So I think that's covered all the major points on the phone. So we've covered the display, we've covered the camera, we've covered the performance of the phone. I think just have a look at what else is on the market compared to this phone. So OPPO X9 Pro, £1,090 to buy, only one phone available, 512 gigabytes, 16 gigabytes of RAM. So he's stuck with that middle ground. I think it's fine. I think 512 is it's probably overkill for a lot of people. So it would be nice if they did a 256 and a 512, because I don't think a lot of people will need that kind of storage. But what else on the market? So Google Pixel 10 Pro XL I've got, it's about £1,199. And if you're going to go for the same storage, £1,399, I think it is about, with that same storage. And I have to say, I think the OPPO X9 Pro just beats the Pixel hands down in terms of its hardware. You can't really compare them both. It just is a much better phone. One thing that the Pixel does have is its bloatware-free Android, but I do like ColorOS 16. I think it's very good. So in my opinion, I will do a comparison between the two phones, but I do think that the OPPO is better, still hands down, than the Pixel 10 Pro XL. So that's just one kind of Android phone on the market at the moment that's worth comparing it to. I think and they do a Find X9 as well, which you lose that 200 megapixel camera. So if you want to save a bit of money, it's about £800. You get a few less features on it, a slightly slower CPU, but if you're not bothered about that CPU performance and all the camera features, then have a look at the X9 as well. I've not tried it out, but it is kind of worth looking at. So this is just a first introduction video to have a look at the phone. I've only got it last week and I've been playing with it over the weekend. I have to say I've really enjoyed using it, and so far the impressions are good, especially that new camera system. I think OPPO hit the nail on the head with the camera system. So if you're in the market for a phone for its camera system and also want something that's not too bulky but has got a decent camera system and also has a very powerful CPU, then the OPPO X9 Pro, you can't really go far wrong. It's a great phone. So check it out. It's on OPPO's website at the moment. It's available anywhere else as well. I think Curry sell it. Got some offers at the moment. OPPO doing a trade-in deal. Just check it out. So I've just really enjoyed using the phone over the past couple of weeks. I'll do some more content on it later on when I've used the phone for the next week or two. But any questions, drop me a comment in the below. Please get involved in the discussion. I'd love to hear from you. So a thumbs up and a subscribe would be nice as well, guys. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you next time.